And I hope while you're here you will go through the exhibit on our history that is in the changing gallery in the main building here, because the museum has grown and changed over the years to become what it is today. When we first opened up, we opened up with a loan collection that later became the core collection of the museum, the Anna Roberts Parks collection. Anna Roberts Parks was an interesting lady who was one of the first female morticians in southern Nevada. One of the things she did with her husband was they started a mortuary here that had one palm tree out in front of it. Can you guess which mortuary that was? Yes, it was Palm Mortuary, but she had other businesses. And she was a great collector of things. She loved minerals, she loved shells, she loved historic pieces, anything she could get her hands on. And that is why when you go through the exhibit inside, you will see a stuffed penguin. No, there weren't any penguins in southern Nevada, but it was part of that collection, so we still have it here. But we started with that in a gymnasium in downtown Henderson, where the City Hall is today, if you want to know where we actually started out. The gymnasium was, of course, a condemned building that we were in. And in the early years of the 70s, the city of Henderson offered what was then a nonprofit this site out on Boulder Highway. This was a failed gravel claim that had gone back to the city for taxes. But they had to move a building here. Well, they were downtown, they didn't have a lot of money. Was coming up to the end of the offer period, and they had to do something. And a depot, Union Pacific Depot that you'll be seeing today, was being offered by the Union Pacific in Boulder City. Union Pacific had closed down this depot many years before. It was built in 1931 for the building of Hoover Dam. But they had decided that they were going to close it down, and they wanted to give it away. They didn't want to be burdened with it. It was just sitting there on their property. They wanted to give it away. Offered it to the city of Boulder City. They said, we don't want it. And they wanted to give it to, if it wasn't a city, they wanted it to go to a nonprofit. They didn't want it to go to a for-profit business. Well, there were no nonprofits in Boulder City that wanted this building. So eventually, the fellow who was then the director of the museum, a fellow named Roy Purcell, some of you may know of him, is quite an artist, he's still around. He found out about it through some of his volunteers, and they contacted the Union Pacific and said, if we move it, can we have it? And they said, sure, go ahead. And so they got down there, and through a fellow named Leith Sorensen, they picked up the building and moved it here and put it on the grounds here. Had a big opening party. Everybody was inside, had a great time. Then they closed up the building, left all the trash inside, by the way, and went back downtown for another 4 years. And in 78, 78, we were getting close to closing. The museum, the nonprofit, which is now our wonderful Museum Guild, was not able to raise enough money to keep going. It was getting very close to the fact that the museum was going to have to close. The first and only at that time general museum in the Vegas Valley was going to have to close. Well, it didn't. And that was because of Bob Broadbent, who was a county commissioner at the time. This was in his area. And he said, you know,